socioeconomic, so it wasn't easy, and like cover teaching was already the bottom of the pile.
Sure.
I
didn't say that either.
Yeah, it's the reality. It's the reality. So I did it just before I was doing. So I was between my masters and my PhD.
Sure.
Now doing PhD, so it's last year. I did it for about 6 months.
Yeah.
I get there, obviously turn up, whatever, first day, fine. Get third day, walk into to do a lesson, and there's a girl. So she stood outside the classroom, and she goes to me, "Oh, sir, are you teaching English?" And I was like, "No, I'm off history. I thought it was nice to take like students taking an interest, all that."
Yeah.
And she goes, "Well, if you're not teaching English, then you can fuck off." Straight to you. Third day in the job.
Oh, that's good.
So I was like, yes, this is it's gonna be a nice job. Yeah. But then I turned around and I was thinking, well, what can you say? Because I thought that I've never done this before. I don't know how do you react to this?
You didn't get vetted for that.
And so I just turned. I was like, you're not meant to say that. So you couldn't. No, I don't know what to say. You don't know what you say, and then you're being called sir. It's a weird dynamic.
Oh, because obviously you like to be referred to as madam, don't you?
Yeah, that's the complication.
That's the complication. The fact that I assumed was a problem.
Yeah. I was a pioneer for transgender identity.
Of course you were. Yeah.
But
you actually were there, weren't you?
Yeah, but no. So I did this cover teach job, and it was good. I got into a rhythm. Like, the thing I realised about the cover teacher job is that at the end of the day, the teachers, they give you this work. They as long as the kids aren't turning the tables over.
Yeah, quite literally.
They just see the work at the end of it. Quite literally. They see the work at the end of it. So I worked out. There was this thing where it's like you give them after school detention to get knocked out.
Yeah.
Whatever else, fine. My thing was, if you don't get the work done at the end of it, I don't really care, in a sense, too much about the behaviour. But the point is, at the end of the lesson, you have to show me you've done the work.
That's an unorthodox approach.
Because cover teachers get shit themselves and to try and assert their authority so much, but they get obsessed with that kind of stuff and they end up being hated because they're already a figure of fun. And then when you become both a figure of fun and then hated,
but they're also.
So I was gonna say So I just had this kind of way of doing it where you say if the work's done at the end, you're fine. If it's not, 20-minute after school detention, and that's it. That's the rule. And then at the end of the day,
Draconian
9
measures.
times out. Yeah, but the point was in hour 0 to hour 50, I was like soft and not really that bothered either way, as long as you weren't turning the tables over. And it seemed to work by then. It made an easier life for me because again, you're not chasing people all the time to shut up. Because if you ever had 30 kids in a classroom, I have no authority whatsoever. So you just let them sit there and.
You've going back to your point, because I think you raised a couple of really good points there. When you say they're already a figure of fun, which they are to some degree, the fact is though that is their greatest fear, isn't it? So they're going in combating the fact. Most people going in combating the fact that I am a figure of fun going into this lesson, but I do not want to come across that way. If you, and this isn't doxing out any. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But I guess your approach, if you go in going, yeah, right, I'm a fucking figure of fun, we get it.
Yeah.
But if you don't do your fucking work, you get into detention.
Yeah.
Like, their respect level should dramatically increase just based on your self-awareness.
But basically, that was exactly it.
Yeah.
You have a laugh with them, and you know what I mean?
Of course.
It is what it is. It was a good. It worked.
Yeah.
It worked at the end of the day, and they got the work done, and they found they liked it. I liked it.
Yeah.
It didn't mean I was stressed because the stress that teachers go through, the cover teachers like managing the behaviour. It's not.
Really.
They're absolutely going mad. I mean, and then they end up, and then you get the other side when the other side of it is that when they go so far out the other end, they get so angry that they end up abusing like the kids. Not literally. I'm not saying they're literally abused, but they end up bubbling over and getting angry. Do you know what I mean?
Talking about the art teacher who had a mental breakdown.
Oh, the science teacher.
No. There was also an art teacher who had a mental breakdown at the Minster. I'm not going to say his name because I've forgotten it. I would if I could. I'm joking. I'm joking. Right, so basically this guy, and he was like a supply, then he got a full-time job. But he took his shit seriously.
I don't know who you mean.
And he was trash. Like, he was trashy at his job. Like, he was.
Yeah.
But he was taking himself seriously, and you couldn't warrant any respect. And like,
no.
How do you feel about this definition of something you say respect? No, I'm putting words in your mouth. Sorry, I said respect as to what you were talking about. So, how do you feel about the typically in a football sense, the definition of a great manager, obviously, naturally, is one that's
Yeah.
respected. Now, the line of respect is drawn equidistant between love and fear.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that sentiment?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And the best teachers are able to maintain both respect and love.
Yes.
If you look at the model, I was actually thinking about this.
Love and fear.
You can put senior members of staff and good teachers into models. You know, are you a Mourinho?
Sure.
Are you a Mourinho? Are you a Klopp? Do you cause division? Do you pick out people? Do you pit people against each other, or do you have the idea of we're all working for this together? You literally can do it, and then you get the shit teachers who obviously would be like League Two managers who are just kind of like throwing everything at it and losing. You really can. You can do that, but the best mixture is always. I think it's motivation, but as I say, they know at the end of the day if they fuck up, then they're going to get, you know,
for real.
They're going to feel it. You know?
And I feel like looking back, all of my best teachers, obviously I don't know the current state of the education system, but I fucking loved this English teacher. And I can't remember her name now, I'm not going to shout her out anyway.
I always see her walking
I think
around.
I'm mates with her on something. But I fancied the pants off it to be better. But, this is going off tangent. No. But I fucking feared that woman.
Yeah.
But like, you've got an admiration and a love and an adoration for them, and she really fucking towed that line where she was like, look, it's all fun and games, but you know, I can come down on you at any point like this, and it's like, it's a real strong position to be in, and I think good teachers always fall into that. Are you about to laugh?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about something.
Oh god.
Well, I was just thinking about a particular RE teacher.
I thought you were just laughing at me. I was getting really insecure. Go on.
No. I was just thinking about a particular RE teacher that I used to have. He was the head of RE. It's for context for YouTube. I won't say who it is.
Dallo.
No. Bold.
You call me bold?
No, the bold
I'm
chap.
joking.
I don't want to say, but he. I used to not get on with him at all, and he used to hate me. And then he blew up one lesson, like completely lost his head.
He was really nice.
And then I felt really
You're
sorry
a horrible
for him.
bastard, yeah.
I know, and then I felt really sorry for him, and I did all right, and
Yeah.
then stopped, and he just went in the complete opposite way. And I was like, I don't know, I just got right to the brink with him.
Sure.
And then he just had a breakdown with, like, I think he kept me after and was just like, I'm just don't know what
That's
to do.
the sparring. That's what I mean about sparring.
Yeah, and
that
he
can
just
happen.
hit the bottom, and then he.
Never show the kids that.
and then he was all right after. Then we got along, and I was like, all right, fair enough.
But you had to get to that place though, to warrant that respect.
But the thing is, it was going there. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like every day, so it was like, how far can we go? And the only other person who got that is a science teacher. I don't know if she lasted for about 3 months.
Yeah.
She started off as a sub, then stayed. She was a biology teacher. And we got to the point where she lost her mind, walked out of class, and then the following day we had her in the morning and she didn't turn up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I was only brought in as a cover teacher because one of the history teachers actually had a breakdown. You know? That was the reason. And, I replaced her class.
I don't want to doctor out, but you.
No, I don't know. I don't. Never met him. Know nothing about
cool.
it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I don't know. But again, I think that was pure pressure, and then I ended up having her kids. So as a cover teacher, not having been trained.
Okay, yeah. So they're living with you now.
No.
Sorry.
So I had these kids, and these like the worst kids that wouldn't like even really experienced teacher couldn't deal with them. I couldn't really deal with them, but I was managing.
Yes, you were
and again,
managing.
that's the point. I was managing more or less, and it's like, you know, spoon feed them, but they have no interest.
Yeah. Are we all okay with sound, Harry?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we can continue. Fine, yeah. What's up?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah,
No.
sorry. No, that's a real. Do you know what it does? The teacher, like when a teacher breaks down. I know I just had a little giggle about it earlier, but it is quite a saddening thing.
Terrible.
Like it is a real saddening thing.
But in fairness, in that person's case, she didn't actually ask for guidance. So then at that stage, you've got to like, or when she was offered that, she refused it, and that's where
I know there is.
you're digging your own grave there, aren't you? Really, you know what I mean?
Oh, so she was, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
she was just irresponsible. She was an idiot. Yeah.
Okay.
You know.
So I take my point back completely.
Yeah. But you know, when people do have breakdowns, particularly like teachers, it's absolutely grim. You know?
Yeah.
And I even from my small, like I had
Been on the
moments
verge,
where
bro.
in a class where there was a French class. It was the worst class, Year 9 class. And they were throwing dictionaries around, and it was getting chaotic. It was chaotic. It was this is my worst. This is my low. It's actually funny. I'm talking about your links back before because I reached the bottom, reached the bottom. This was like the low point of my career, and then after that, it was fine for the rest of the time I was there for 6 months, probably about the 3 month mark.
Being in a French class and someone quite literally throwing their language at you is the biggest sign of disrespect.
Yeah, it really is a visual.
That you could possibly hope for.
Visual chaos.
That is awful. I say it's awful. It is quite funny.
Yeah, well, it was funny.
And is that the lowest point you fucking?
That was the lowest point was then when they were going out. I sent one kid out. He was just walking around outside the classroom, outside the corridor, walking around.
Disrespectful.
But because I'd sent him to the other classroom of one of the really known for disciplinarian kind of teachers, Mr. Smith. He's like, oh, so Mr. Smith, I'm sending you out to Mr. Smith. That's it. I could see him walking out. I still walking. I went out to him. And I had like a complete noise in the background of the class. Just opened the door. I was like, you really have that little disrespect that you're actually scared to go into Mr. Smith. So at this point, I was basically confronting him. And that's what I mean. And that's when you're at the bottom. When you're taking on the kid like you're an equal or something like that.
You've lost it.
You've lost it at that stage. It's like you're scared, and then he's like, "You what, mate? You what?" One of these. He's already, and then he's like, "You challenging me? You saying pussy and all this shit, So
you broke to some degree, didn't you? Going down to that level of pure confrontation.
Yeah. And that was when I decided to take up this new policy of, you just go in. This is your line, but basically you're nice with the kids. You have a laugh with the kids. You have to go in with a sense of humour. That's the thing. To talk about thick skin again, and immediately within, you will get abuse. That is the way. That's the rule of the school. That's the law of the school. So you can't go in if you have a thin skin. Teachers must pick up a thick skin immediately, and you do it. It's amazing how quickly you do. Like even third day, you get told to fuck off for literally nothing, but not in a kind of jokey way. This person doesn't know you. They just want to get all their hormonal anger out.
So
you
get beyond the hormones.
No, you know what I mean. I mean, there's
course.
obviously massive problems at home and all that, all the rest of it. So it's.
Do they teach you how to handle that? Like when you're training?
No. I'm sure they do as a teacher, but cover teachers, that's one thing I think is a massive problem. Cover teachers are
they just chuck you in the deep end.
Chuck in the deep end. You're expected to, intuitively pick it up.
See, that's mad. See, that's why I have not a massive problem, but I think we can't, I suppose, touch on this last time. Is that there's a huge problem, isn't there, with like the social services and the fact that they don't actually do anything. They don't teach them how to confront people or speak to people. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It never seems to be the case, and it seems to be a massive fall through, doesn't it, when it actually comes through because people aren't prepared for it. Don't know. Yeah, one thing I also said, another horrible thing about it. Well, not horrible. It was funny, but was that on the interactive whiteboards you log in, but for some reason the school had it such that it wasn't Mr. Howlett login. It was Roderick Howlett, and I'm going into a former mining area, and they're going, "Oh, Roderick!" It's like, it's just,
it's not winnable, is it?
No, so again, you're already on the back foot there. You have to embrace that again. Yeah. So. Things like that just don't help. The little things like that, training, little things, they all add up, and you can see why people have breakdown,
Yeah, sure. I've got to ask as well in terms of what you just said. We've talked about obviously some negative experiences that you've had. Can you tell me? I know it's quite hard, but what would be your highest point of elation or your most rewarding experience? Because these lows naturally don't come without the. Yeah, absolutely. The other swing of the pendulum.
Yeah, the most rewarding thing would probably be when one of the senior teachers said to me, "Well, the thing we like Mr. Howlett because we actually." So this is what another kid told. We like Mr. Howlett because although he lets us have fun, but we do actually learn things in his lessons, and that was interesting because that's surprising to me. Although I mean, the best is those moments when you actually do grasp their attention, and you've got these kids and you're able to teach them. And I did have passion for some of what I was teaching, like the history and the English. I thought this is meaningful. And because I taught in the kind of way of, when I did teach, when I wasn't just managing or just giving them a worksheet, when I did teach, it was a case of, trying to teach them beyond the confines of the exam.
Sure.
Also to not just focus on the exam, this is life, this is what this means, you can learn something from this, this has inherent value.
Yeah.
And so when you transmit something of that to the kids, and you see them enjoying it, engaging it, taking it seriously, or when we had debates and I facilitated debates and stuff, which again, your normal cover teacher, well, most cover teachers would go in and just say, "There's your worksheet," and not engage with it, and just try and get them, and just sit behind the desk and let it happen. And that's where you get if you're very good at behaviour and a cover teacher, it can be tempting to just do that.
Sure.
But I engaged because I wasn't good at the behaviour, so you have to engage them instead. So yeah, that would be my kind of that high moment where I said, we actually learn things in lessons. I thought, well, actually, all the behaviour stuff in a way. Okay, fine, I'm not great at that, but if they're getting some value from it, they enjoy it, and it's a happy memory. And school can be a very dark for lots
Pretty
of
grim.
kids.
It's pretty
yeah,
grim.
lots of kids.
Pretty grim.
Yeah, most kids probably.
I mean, I think I'd go on further to say as well in terms of that point. I just feel like when you were of that age, even that age range, you honestly feel like the world's a chaotic experience, but you don't know much beyond your sort of bubble. And as well, in terms of that, you feel like that's just how it is. And I think partly people underestimate how little your brain as a whole has developed.
Yeah.
Because I would say, like, you honestly have the way you think is at that point in time is like, surely this is the way my thought processes occur now throughout the rest of my life.
Yeah.
This is how I think about things. This is how I feel about things.
Yeah.
But you realise when you leave school and get a bit older, your brain really fucking calms down.
Yeah.
And it's not. I don't feel like that's reinforced. That
No.
and it's not because it's no one's responsibility to reinforce that. But that's upon reflecting of the experience. I just feel like it's important to say, like, when you're in school, your brain hasn't fucking developed.
No.
And I feel like that's such an important facet that people look over. And obviously, I don't want to get into the whole, people obviously taking their own lives, but especially when you're in school for that period of time, it's a very confusing period of time for a lot of people. And I feel like what I got to give massive props to is for like someone like you going in and dealing with that, and also not taking out your emotional baggage, because a lot of, I believe, supply teachers, or the one that I dealt with, use that as an also means to sort of.
But that was my first approach. That was my bottom moment. Where I was like, that's it, and then you get over that, and you're able to laugh at yourself again. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And the best teachers do that. The best teachers do that. I mean, the worst thing, absolutely. I mean, that's the other thing I'd say as well. That I have massive respect for many teachers who work very, very hard.
Sure.
Because it's easy to. You can slack and get away with it, and there are teachers who do it with that end. But there are also some teachers who work so hard and put their absolute all. And then when the kids don't put it back, that's when it's disappointing. From that, you can understand, but. That's when it's disappointing. Of course you can, as you've just been saying. But there are so many good pastoral people, and the staff in general. Like where I worked in humanities, and the staff in humanities were just amazing people, fantastic. You'd look forward to working with them. That was a real benefit. So, and as also as a supply teacher, going and actually enjoying the time with the kids is good as well. It's a rare thing, I think.
Sure.
I want to engage in it. So,
going back to what you just said as well, in terms of people. Almost pick some teachers obviously naturally picking up the bill for other teachers, going above and beyond the call of duty. I feel that there is a spotlight on teaching as a whole, because people feel like their children's education is reflected, but that is by and large human nature. You will always get a 20-80 rule. You will always get 20% of people picking 80% of the slack, and then 80% of people picking 20% of the slack, and you're going to get grilled as a teacher if you do that, because you've got eyes on you, you've got parents, you've got peers, you've got children, but that. It's just because there is that limelight of that it's really brought to the forefront, and that's why I think they deserve somewhat a lot of respect for even putting themselves in that position. But by and large, again, how badly do you think a bad teacher can affect a child? I think this is a big question to some degree, but you go on.
It can go two ways actually, because a bad teacher can obviously. The obvious example would be somebody who frustrates the student, makes them feel worse about themselves. Essentially, say if they've got a bad parental background, if you reinforce that aggression and all the rest of it, and that attitude and that sense that if you reinforce the idea that the kid doesn't have an inherent dignity and a worth and a potential, then you're reinforcing the stuff that's bad at home. If the kid's going for a bad background, and they're the worst case. Generally, the kids who are worse have worse family backgrounds. Sure. The other side of it is, you doubt the kid, and if the kid has enough strength in them to then prove that teacher wrong who's doubting them, but it's in most cases of the really the kids with behavioural problems, the kids who have things at home, they're unlikely to develop that strength, at least in school. It might be something that comes after school, So but a bad teacher can definitely be bad.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it massively can screw you up. I just think it's some of the when you think of like math sets and stuff like that, and how they used to fluctuate depending. You get a bad teacher in like a half decent set, and you just see them all just like the next year just split. You know what I mean? Like,
and drop behind the lower sets, literally from the teacher.
Yeah, exactly.
In the higher sets.
They'll just drop down, and the only ones that would stay up are the ones that were naturally very talented at like something like maths. Just thinking ours was bloody awful. Like, 'cause if you remember, we were in the same math set, weren't we? And then we got split. But then
I was awful.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
You weren't you like the lowest at one
No, well, okay. So basically, like, to be brutally honest, like, I'm not good at maths, but I'm not that bad. But this is the thing. But this is the thing. I'm not that bad. But what I would do would basically self-sabotage.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
I was a massive proponent of self-sabotage. I loved it. I thought it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
So like, I loved people thinking I was dumb as fuck, and like,
yeah.
I'm not gonna say I wasn't, but I would like with the teacher, for example, that fucking maths teacher who's a woman. I mean, I just sabotaged. Like, I fucking took a bite of her apple like, in front of her and just like left it there. And like, I don't know, like, I just did stupid shit because I just fucking hated it. But then again, like, I was a fundamentally bad pupil.
Yeah.
Like but there are fundamentally bad pupils out there who just don't want to listen to your shit.
Yeah.
They think they know it all. And they have a complete lack of respect for you. And that's why I only had a very minor array of fucking teachers who I was like, hold my hand up. But the thing is as well, when you're like that and you sort of, at that age as well, you can sort of manipulate things in your favour, and you've got teachers who can see through that, you're like, oh shit. And that's a good And then they immediately they garner your respect. And it's a mutual respect in some ways, because they're like, hey,
that's what I mean about the potential.
They're like, hey, I know you're fucking about. You're not stupid. Come on. And you're like,
exactly.
You know. And
whereas the patronising kind of, I'm going to take you on because you're not listening. That kind of raw authority, that will get you nowhere. You've got to use. You've got to move them through the process. That's another point. That's a good teachers do. They move the kids through the process. And if you rationalise it, kids are still rational. And if you can show them why you've done something, and again, it's that. And I hated this in school. This one thing I really hated about school. You know, this idea that you kind of, I'm the teacher, therefore what I do is right. Therefore I did that. That moral, the kind of, your authority is the reason.
The authority.
Terrible. It's so pathetic. I mean, come on. You're working with 13, 14-year-olds.
But do you feel at some point that when you lack resources, or you run the course of a certain logical conclusion, you have to sometimes step back to, who's the fucking daddy? And I'm not saying that's the behaviour, but I think we all play that card in life to some degree.
But I'm saying we should endeavour to
avoid.
stop.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm not saying, of course, in a sense, it wasn't. Well, I was just doing a version of that when exactly. So we're all guilty, but
Have you ever seen it work though? Have you ever seen anyone go, I'm the teacher, I'm the boss here?
You know, with the weaker students, but with the worst kids who it's intended to.
That's true. Yeah. All it does is nails the codependent students, who are the ones that actually would have agreed with you anyway. It's just a reinforcement.
Whereas the other ones want to challenge that anyway. They want to challenge whether you're the boss in the room, and the majority of the time, when you're at that point where you're saying I am the boss.
And I'm the captain now.
Then they're screwed.
I mean, again, I saw lines where it was like, you know, you will do what I say because I am Mr. X.